This week, we're diving back into Chapter 9, A Sky Black with Smoke, Part 1, where Cyrus has to face the effects of the shocking explosion in the port and the subsequent frenzy throughout Sunsetton. I've worked with my audio artist, Zoran, to infuse this chapter with more magic, more wonder, more incredible artistry, and along the way, we're taking a look back at the Seventh Valkyrie journey as we make our way towards Season 3. Welcome to the Seventh Valkyrie Listen-Along, guys. Let's rock and roll. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Valkyrie Listen-Along. I'm your host, Colin Sharp, creator and current voice of the Seventh Valkyrie. If you are a new listener coming through the series for the first time, welcome. It's great to have you. And if you're a grizzled hero veteran, awesome to have you back. Today's episode, we always start with a spoiler warning, especially with the listen-along. We're getting towards the end of Season 0 now, and I don't want to spoil anything, so just a heads up, make sure that you have listened all the way up through Chapter 9, Part 1, if you're listening to this episode of the listen-along. You have been warned. Now let's get into our first segment inside the episode, where we are going to just break it all down. This picks up literally seconds after Cyrus falls through the sky following that blast. Is it a blast? We're not sure. Whatever it was, there was a massive black sphere that arrived. And whatever that was, we're not sure, and Cyrus doesn't really have time to consider that because he's falling into a hole hundreds of feet deep as the ocean pours in behind and eventually underneath him. One day I could see this being one of those crazy set pieces in a movie like the Kraken attack in Pirates of the Caribbean 2 with just an incredible practical effects team, or I could see them doing it sort of like the Charge of the Rohirrim, where it's like they have a physics-based modeling system that would respond to a sphere of matter being entirely replaced by nothingness. I actually, funny sidebar, I tried to code a small simulation of this whenever, at one point using Blender or Unity. I was working in video game development, or a class, or that part of my degree at the time. But I didn't have the power and processing, and none of the online water flow simulators that I tried to put together really got what it took. So I guess that's a bit of outside the episode. Anyway, Cyrus has this whole moment, eventually finds his way to the top of the water, soaking wet, confused, and flees through the city back to find the fat traveler, the pub. And eventually he finds Bram, who ushers him towards the wagon and intends to leave the city because he's like, all right, whatever this is, it's too much for me. Let's get out of here. But at the gates, things are getting rough. A caravan of non-Edoran traveling merchants get harassed by the guards, and when they don't take that shit, the gates erupt into chaos thanks to the arrival of Rand and his crew, leaving Bram, Cyrus, and a choice few other merchants the opportunity to sneak out and escape. But even as the gates crash down behind them, Bran knows that they're not out of the woods just yet, and that leaves a lot to consider before Part 2. Which we'll be discussing next week. But before we get into talking too much about that, let's take a look outside the episode. I already gave you a little taste of kind of just the context and the story, the director's commentary. I think one of the coolest things about fiction is creating invented realities. And while you can picture all the things I tell you about in your mind's eye, the new levels of audio artistry really help support that. Quite knows what's going on. These are all little elements that were certainly there in the text, but hearing them brought to life with the music and the score just makes such a big difference. You can see so much of the original intention and experience it on a first listen. Another example is when there's a commotion going on, like what happens at the gates. Like, I'm telling you in person what's happening with Cyrus and Bram, but having that additional audio context of the fight happening in the background and the clash going on really makes the experience so much more rich and consistent and complete because you're there. You're not just hearing me tell you about it and then having to kind of fill in the pieces yourself. You are experiencing this along with them. So I'm stoked that I get to share that full vision with you guys now. And that brings us to the end of this episode of the Listen Along. Stay tuned for the reimaginings dropping Wednesday and the Listen Along dropping next Friday. Obviously, heroes, you guys are ahead of that. And if you, public listener, are itching to get ahead, you are not alone. You can do that in one of two ways. You can listen to the episodes as they were released right now, today, for free. Or if you'd like to experience the full magic of the series, you can join us as a patron on Patreon as a Hero of Edera and get exclusive access to the Season 0 and Season 1 reimagining weeks before they hit the public. The choice is yours. I'm just glad to have you along for the ride as we journey slowly, bit by bit, towards Season 3. Let's roll, guys. See you next week.